artists of all roads of life, creators, creative people who are making art, making creative decisions in your lives, that you are changing the world little by little by changing yourselves, making this world more real and authentic by being more real and authentic with yourselves. Brave, courageous souls who dare to look into the depths of your souls to find the answers. The answers to why do I keep doing this to myself? Welcome back to the journey to creativity, a journey that never ends. Creativity is the journey itself. I didn't realize that when I chose the name for this podcast because the journey was only just starting. So I hope you understand that. So interesting. As soon as I'm saying this, I'm realizing that I am doing exactly what I'm not trying to do. Just by the fact that I had to explain myself. I had to say like, oh, I hope you guys understand though that like I didn't realize that the creativity is the journey itself. So that's why I made this name, and it might not be accurate, but I hope you don't mind because. So that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about today. I feel that for sure the journey has progressed. For sure, I have been talking about it here. How I have been practicing more, taking a few risks here and there, meeting with people that inspire me and that encourage me to be playful, to be creative, and that help me get in that mood and that sort of like bring it out of me. And I have been doing a lot of songwriting, but not taking it very seriously though. Like I feel that I have a certain fear there, something that's blocking me because I could take these creations, these songs that I just very lazily basically just improvise them, but then I leave them there. I could work on them further, if you know what I mean. Like I could write the lyrics that came mysteriously to my mind through creative flows and ebbs and write it down, and so I can learn it and remember what chords I did so I can learn the song that I myself spontaneously came about, and I could like have a song. But I have not done it yet. Even though we are on this, and even though you may be a very experienced artist in your craft, it seems to be that it is not about coming out of the closet, basically, as an artist only. That seems to be one of the places where most of us, or many of us, I don't even know if most of us, but a place where many of us will get stuck isn't just getting out of the closet as an artist. But many artists who have already come out of the closet as artists still experience many blocks to their creativity. And this can be connected to so many things. As we have been talking here in this podcast about the, origin of these blocks, like where do they come from? Today I want to talk about authenticity. Authenticity. Are you authentic? Do you think in all manners and all ways, in everything in your life, every single word that comes out of your mouth, every gesture that you make, the way you walk, the way you get dressed, the work you do, the art you do, the opinions you post on social media, the likes you give, the things, the sorries you say, is this all authentic? It's a tough question because we have a lot of external threats to our authenticity, depending on how much do you worry about what people will think. How much does that influence your decision to say or not to say something? How much difference does it make in your decision making? The potential reaction people will have, and by people I mean specific people, society in general, but also very specific people like our friends, our family, depending on how close we are physically and, well, I guess in every way to them. How much do we care about what will they say? And this is not necessarily a bad thing. You may be worried about giving a bad example to people that are younger than you, for example. Or you may be worried of, causing a heart attack on your very old granny. There's all sorts of things that influence our decision in terms of being fully authentic or not. And this, I'm not saying it's either good or bad. I think personally, my opinion is that when it comes to these factors, these outside threats, even fame and money is involved in this sort of external things that will be or might be affected by if I am authentic or not, or I am not. There's also sorts of reasons to that, and I feel that it is up to each one of us. But the reason I'm talking about this today is because personally I struggle with that. I don't know about you, but this whole journey and this podcast and everything that I am talking here, greatly one of the things that makes me feel sort of like in a comfort zone is simply the fact of speaking in English, because it leaves a few people outside of this. There's a few people that cannot just listen to me because they don't understand the language. And that sort of gives me a very strange type of freedom. I know that art in many different ways gives us that type of freedom because we can say things metaphorically. We can paint instead of just saying the things directly and objectively and boringly, right? Just straight up I hate myself, and we paint a picture about it, but we don't want our family to simply just read our words, I hate myself, right? We can allow them to see the painting and sort of try to figure themselves out. And but what about leaving these external influences aside for a bit, and let's now think about what blocks me inside of me to be authentic. I know that we might all have very different opinions on this. I hope you understand that this is just my opinion on these things. I think there are many good reasons to sometimes hide a little bit of authenticity, for the sake of some of our family members, or for the sake of our economic sustenance to remain untouched. But, well, there are controversial times, and we live in controversial times. There's many things to have opinions on, many themes that our society is in discussion about. And how are you authentic in a world like this? There's opinions on gender, there's opinions on sexuality, there's opinions on what you should do with your time if you're a young person, what should you be doing with your life. There's opinions on whether you should have kids or not. There's opinions on whether you should have one partner or many. There's opinions on which religion should you be ascribed to or believe in. And I wonder, how can we be more authentic in a world that is now having opinions on everything that we say? I know that what I'm saying here you guys are gonna have your own opinion about it, and you may, create a certain, statement, or I don't want to say the word judgment, but maybe you can label people with. It's also so fluid. It's also very much, fluid. It's constantly changing, sort of like the ideas that as a collective we have and we are discussing, and what is supposed to be the correct answer and what is not the right answer. And then these things change over time, and we might have hit our answer for fear, and years later it may turn out to be the quote-unquote right answer. I don't know. All these things, for me personally, especially with the most sort of taboo subjects, it's a complicated thing. I might have I have a sort of disease in my head, I think, connected to considering everyone's point of view. So I find it hard to take a stance. And sure, I can have my opinion, but I always know that there's going to be someone on the opposite side, most likely, that I'm also going to think, yeah, they're right too. And so what I'm trying to say here with all of this, I'm not trying to get political or, polemic in any way. What I'm trying to say is that there are factors that affect our capacity or our willingness to be fully authentic outwardly. And depending on the degree of how much these things make you think, everything that I'm saying, how much do you block yourself from saying what you actually think for fear of the repercussions. I know people that are very, very, very not afraid to just say what they think, and I admire that greatly. But I am one of the people that finds it hard to create conflicts, and I am very much of a peacemaker when it comes to these opinions on life and what is true and what is correct and what is good and what is not, because I tend to value the different points of view. So that has been a challenge for me, to be more authentic. This is where I wanted to get after all this. This has been a challenge for me, to be authentic. And why is this important here? Because a part of being authentic, part of being real, part of being true to myself was acceptance. What did I have to accept? I had to accept the fact that I am an artist, even though I have dabbled between different artistic expressions. deep inside the ultimate truth, the part that I need to fully own and accept, and that I was not allowing myself to be authentic about, is simply the fact that I am an artist, that I am unique in essence, and I have unique desires, I have unique passions, I have unique dreams, and I want unique things. I want unique experiences that only I know about and that only I can understand. And it's very likely that someone will not accept that. And if you are like me and you struggle with creating conflicts with people in terms of difference of opinion, you might be blocking yourself, be blocking your artist because of fear of not being accepted, or because of fear of some people becoming your enemies, or becoming, going against you in any way. I've had to accept and to own the fact that since I am an artist, I need art. It's life. If I don't do art, if I don't have art in my life, and I'm using the word very widely, I would die. I get crabby. I become a monster, basically, in so many different ways if I am not creating. And this is something that I have learned through the years, and that I now find reading this book of Julia Cameron, which, by the way, I'm going to read a little bit for you in a moment. It's the almost last chapter, is the very one before the last one, chapter 11, third 12. I need art. I need to make it. And it doesn't sometimes matter if it is writing or if it is taking pictures outside with my phone of the colors of the fall or of the snow that is just starting to come. It might be simply listening fully, with full attention, fully listening to a live concert, or listening to an entire album with my whole heart and soul in it. It might be going to enjoy live music. It might be doing music myself. It might be singing. It might be freestyling. It might be painting. It might be cooking. It might be going for a walk. It might be looking at the clouds. It might be going and listening to the birds outside. It might be enjoying a thunderstorm night. It might be listening to the rain. It might be walking through a forest. But hey, all on every single one of these are all artist activities. And how come I was trying to pursue business? How come I guess I keep saying these things, but I am 32, man. I was for so long trying to be something that I was not. And if this has got to do with being authentic, and many times, I had no idea. I would just even ask my sisters. I remember I would ask my family, I'd be like, I think I'm an artist, and they would be like, yeah, but that's the big question. It's sure, yeah, but I don't see you doing it. Or I remember one of my sisters once told me, yeah, sure, but I thought that artists just do art because they need to, not because they just want to be. I thought that you just are. And she didn't say this to me in with a bad intention. But for me, it had this effect of oh, so I'm not, so I'm not, because I'm not doing it. But and for so many years, right? This is partly why I'm doing this podcast, is because I want that you, if you're listening and you hear me say all these things and you're like, oh, I feel the same way, then go and find your artistic expression. Go and find it. The artistic expression, like Chris was saying a couple episodes ago in our interview that I loved so much talking to her. She was so amazing, and we connected at a very deep level, because our vision, our purpose is very much connected, which is helping inspire, motivate, encourage people to realize that every single one of us is creative, and some of us have this heightened sensitivity and need to do art, but we all are creative. Each one of us is creative. We might not choose an art form to give channel to that creative energy, but you can have a completely creative life, like spread creativity in every single decision you make, in your relationships, each conflict that you have in your relationship or in your most meaningful relationships. Each conflict can be solved creatively. Each lack can be solved creatively. Each problem can be solved creatively. So I'm just like putting that in there to make sure that, we're all creative. I'm not just talking to people that specifically do art, but artists, we experience these needs to do specific things. We have these quirky ways of being. We just want to play with other kids. And what is inside of me that is blocking this authenticity? I realized that all these things, society, family, friends, colleagues, money and fame, all these things, sure, they seem to be outside, but they're actually inside. And I make them big. Actually, it doesn't matter what reaction people has on what I'm saying here, or on whichever opinion I might have, or on whichever I might say, because I am unique and I am different. But at the same time, there's certain things that I am telling myself that keep me from being authentic and from being real. I tell myself stuff like, I'm not good enough. And I keep doing that, even though this journey started almost a year ago. It's been like a year since I first, the music journey at least, it started many years ago, but I'm thinking about a year ago because that's when I started. I took it back and in the keyboard this time. So the keyboard was like something new. But anyways, I keep telling myself that I'm not good enough. And it's almost disappointing to myself. And I know I shouldn't punish myself for this, but I'm just trying to be honest here on how this is. This is not something that you will solve one day and you'll be over it and you're going to start creating freely and everything's going to be wonderful. No, this is like a constant battle between your mind and you. It's like you have two selves. You have your subconscious mind, which is the big chunk of your mind. It's the largest chunk. And it's full. It's a reservoir of memories. It's full of memories of all of your life, all of your life. From the very, 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 very first memories inside your mom's uterus till the very first days of your lives, you were a sponge, but literally you were a sponge. Everything that was said, everything that happened, every single mood, every single change in people's faces, every single reaction to you when you were a baby, you absorbed them deep in your subconscious mind, and from then on, year after year, year after year, year after year, you have been building memories in your mind, and that subconscious mind rules most of what your brain does. Your conscious mind actually is only about a 10% of your brain. And so it's kind of creepy because there's this past that we constantly need to battle with consciously. The only way we can battle it, the only way we can like go against the flow or go against the current of our negative thinking is by consciously giving an answer back to them every single time. So I surprise myself doing this. I record sometimes on video. I'm like, okay, let me record this song. I press record, and then when I see the video, like I don't realize right away as I'm doing it, or maybe I realize, but I don't realize quickly enough to react. Then I watch the video, and like it even pisses myself off. I don't know if this happens to you. I bet it does, because we all are kind of super mean with ourselves, and that's why I'm trying to kind of open up about it here. I see my face being like making these faces of fuck, I made a mistake, like, oh my God, like that doesn't sound, or oh, I got out of key, or I missed the note and stuff, or like, my finger moved and I played another key in the keyboard, and like, it sounded like that. So, and I make all these faces and expressions about it, and I'm like, when I watch it after, I'm like, wow, I'm being so mean to myself. And every time that I've been doing this, I'm like, I try to not do it as soon as I find myself like getting upset with myself right away. And I try to like forget it. Like, okay, it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. And yeah. And, it's crazy. We need to like so consciously be like super awake and reacting to these things, because these are the things that you're telling yourself that are still blocking you. I'm not good enough. I tell myself that no one will accept me or my work. I find myself having these thoughts that a song comes to my mind and I'm like, okay, let me try it. And we all have the right to play. We have the right to try. Not every work comes out perfect. The things that we see artists do, the works that are visible for us, the products that artists create and let us see, those are the very finished ones. Behind them, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of so-called failures, but they are not mistakes or failures. They are the biggest, and they are the most valuable, because they led to one day making one little thing that was genius, right? But I find myself telling myself these things. I find myself telling myself that I should be using my time in more responsible ways, in more productive ways, that I should be, making money. I still find myself telling myself that. I tell myself that I have to be the best if I want to do something as irresponsible as art. I still find myself hearing these speeches in my brain, and I have to give an answer back. No, it's not. Being irresponsible to myself is not doing art. I would be irresponsible if I wasn't doing art. Why? Because I simply become an ogre. I get depressed. I get cranky. I get destructive, very destructive. I start becoming envious of other people. I start becoming, honestly, the worst. You don't want to see me like that, and I don't want to see myself like that again. So that's the answer I have to give myself. I still tell myself that I'm weird and that I'm not normal and that this is not good. I am weird, I am not normal, and this is good. Okay, if I'm not good enough, that is just in itself, that phrase is a fallacy. There's no such thing as good enough. There is no such thing as good or bad. There is no such thing. We all are artists, and we all have a right to explore our creativity, to play, to make mistakes, to fuck up, to fall down, to roll in the mud and get up and do whatever we want. Actually, we need to give that freedom to our artists within, because our artist within is a child. Yes, authenticity. I just want to read a paragraph here for you from Julia Cameron's chapter 11, which is called Recovering a Sense of Autonomy. She says, I cannot allow my emotional and intellectual life to stagnate, or the work will show it. The work being the art. My life will show it. My temperament will show it. If I don't create, I get crabby. As an artist, I can literally die from boredom. I kill myself when I fail to nurture my artist child because I am acting like somebody else's idea of an adult. The more I nurture my artist child, the more adult I am able to appear. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? The more I nurture my artist child, the more adult I am able to appear. So we're here like trying to fulfill these very outdated ideas of adults that we should be, that society, family, friends, colleagues, and everyone that we know, everyone that we ever knew is telling us to be. And I'm telling you here, nope, that's not the entire world. You can and you must, because it is your responsibility, nurture your creativity. Because if you don't, even your life is at risk. So even if you are someone who is pursuing professionally and actively and all over the place your craft, and you feel stiff, if you are neglecting your creativity for the sake of money, for the sake of fame, for the sake of maintaining the position that was so hard to obtain, then you really need to give space to your artists to play, even if it's a little bit, even if it's just doing the morning pages, even if it's just doing an artist date a week, letting yourself do something fun, letting yourself connect. You won't be able to fill up your well, and that'll affect your entire career. It's no joke. It's allowing ourselves to play, but it's at the same time, it's no joke. It's a very serious life or death type of situation. And yeah, as artists, we experience, I believe, but I am not so sure of this that I'm going to say, but I believe that as artists, we experience kind of like a wider spectrum of emotions. It's no joke. Funny enough, what I'm going to say, it's no joke that comedians, for example, struggle with huge amounts of anxiety in general. Apparently, I don't know, I watched this documentary the other day on YouTube about comedians and the suicidal rates and anxiety and depression that are connected to them. Isn't that funny? It's like we really have a lot to say, and we as artists who feel things, as people, creative people that feel a lot, the reason we make art is because we're creatively dealing with this dark stuff, this dark emotions, these very, very, very intense and life-threatening feelings. So if you're neglecting that part, you're really neglecting yourself. Anyways, dear people, I am really happy to have had you here. I hope you liked this episode. I hope it was interesting, helpful. I don't know, hopeful. The tone might have not been very helpful. Just be yourself, man. Just like the more authentic people we have in this world, the more real people that are creatively solving and resolving who they are in their lives and figuring everything out in a creative way. Seriously, we will be reaching to our highest potential. Each and every one of us will be reaching for their highest potential, and that's what I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see a world where people feel free to be themselves and do what they think is best to do for the world, because I bet we would not have as much problems as we do now. And that is all. I hope you have enjoyed. Please, one little announcement. This podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook page, iTunes, and that's all for now. So if you have a chance to find The Journey to Creativity on Apple Podcasts, please go and give me a star, 5-star, or whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you can leave me a review, that would be great. It's just to help me put this message out there, and more available and more visible for people, because I really believe this is very, very, very important. We're trying to save lives here. So everyone, just keep creating, stay alive, keep enjoying the journey. It's a spiral journey. Don't expect it to end. And I'll see you on the next one.